I want to talk to you about the Boz S1, which is an amazing speaker for acoustic guitar gigs that I recently got to test drive. The S1 has two separate channels. It's got one for guitar and one for microphone, and there's a third channel you can use for a looper or for backing tracks that you can access by Bluetooth or through a 1/8 inch input. And the S1 is actually portable and rechargeable for up to 11 hours. So the guitar and mic channels, they have separate independent tone, volume, and reverb controls. And they also have something called a proprietary tone match switch, which EQs, optimizes, and restores the natural sound of your acoustic guitar, which, as you know, is typically your biggest problem when you're playing acoustic amps. I tested the S1 speaker, and it's very responsive to pickups, and the tone, volume, and reverb controls genuinely work great. You can position the S1 four different ways. You can tilt it back to broadcast out to an audience, or you can put it horizontally, vertically, or on a stand. The S1 also has a proprietary Boz accelerometer, which automatically adjusts the EQ and optimizes the sound based on whichever one of these four positions you're using. So effectively, you have an acoustic guitar amp, a PA, and a killer Bluetooth speaker all in one. So the bottom line is, if you're an acoustic player, there's absolutely nothing out there that sounds this good and this big, that's portable and battery powered. And the S1 also happens to be the best Bluetooth speaker Boz makes, which says a lot. I used it myself for a party we had here one night, and it was absolutely amazing. All my kids were freaking out. It's like having a full stereo system out on your patio. You can easily use this for DJing, tailgating, or whatever you want. Before this, you'd have to spend thousands of dollars on a bunch of equipment to get the same thing the S1 does. On top of that, it's sleek and it looks great, just like all Boz devices do. And besides whatever money back guarantee you get from wherever you buy the S1, Boz also warranties the S1 for 2 years from any kind of defects in materials or performance. For more information and to find out where to get your own S1, I'd like you to go to pro.boz.com/podcast. Check it out at pro.boz.com/podcast and get the S1. It's outstanding. This is an important announcement for anyone who wants to advertise here on Everyone Loves Guitar. Over the last 9 months alone, we've had 425,000 more downloads, added over 25,000 monthly listens, and grown our YouTube subscriber base by 72 times. During this time, we've kept our advertising rates consistent, but we will be increasing rates on January 1st. So if you're a business looking to generate new leads or increase your cash flow by picking up new clients or customers, or if you're a label looking to promote new music, then listen up. For information on advertising on Everyone Loves Guitar, fill in the short form at everyonelovesguitar.com/advertise. Again, that's everyonelovesguitar.com/advertise. Even if you want to advertise next year, you'll get to lock into marketing your product or service at the current rates before rates go up at the end of this year. If you want to buy or sell a home or investment property and you're here in the Tampa Bay area, in Hillsborough, Pinellas, or Pasco counties, then listen up. West Florida Real Estate is a local residential real estate broker that's helped over 250 Bay Area homeowners buy and sell their properties in the last 4 years alone. If you're looking to sell, you'll want to get their free report, The 7 Biggest Mistakes Homeowners Make When Hiring a Realtor. And if you're looking to buy a property, you definitely want to get your hands on the 21 Most Expensive Mistakes Tampa Home Buyers Make When Buying a Home. Each one of these reports is going to save you time and money. Inside, you'll discover the 7 most important things to consider when hiring a realtor, what to do if you're buying and selling a home at the same time, and the danger of choosing a realtor who agrees with everything you say. To get your hands on these free reports, head on over to westfloridarealestate.com. That's westfloridarealestate.com. Hey, this is Craig. If you like this show and you want to support it and you want to keep it free, head on over to everyonelovesguitar.com/support. That's everyonelovesguitar.com/support. Hey, everybody, this is Craig Garber. Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar. Man, I've got a really cool guest today, up 8 o'clock in the morning from out in California, and he's got like one of the best heads of hair I've ever seen. We're with the one and only Carmen Grillo. A couple of quick announcements. Number one, Bill Champlin, thank you very much for connecting us. I appreciate it. Bill Champlin, the warrior. Also, make sure you go to everyonelovesguitar.com/subscribe, and you could subscribe to the show, both the audio and the video on YouTube. And if you are listening and you have access to Carlos Santana or Joe Walsh, I would love to get those guys on my show. Thank you very much. All righty, let's talk about Carmen. Born in Buffalo, New York, raised in Santa Cruz, California, guitarist Carmen Grillo fronted several local bands before moving to L.A. He soon became an in-demand session guitarist and vocalist, performing or recording with artists like David Foster, Smokey Robinson, Huey Lewis and the News, Donna Summer. Man, what a hit maker she was. The Four Tops, Boz Scaggs, Luis Miguel, Rita Coolidge, Bill Champlin, and several other major artists. From 1980 through 86, Carmen toured the world and recorded with Rita Coolidge on the Higher and Higher and We're All Alone records. Also, during that same time period, Carmen toured with Bill Champlin, promoting Bill's solo albums Single and Runaway. In 85, Carmen co-wrote One More Day with James Pankow from Chicago, of course, and that song appeared on their platinum-selling album Chicago 18. In 88, Carmen joined the legendary horn-based soul band Tower of Power, where he became a driving force within the group. His writing, singing, and guitar playing made him easily recognized by music fans all over the world. He performed and recorded with Tower of Power for the better part of a decade before leaving in 97 to pursue other interests. Those interests included opening the doors to his recording studio, Big Surprise Music, where he's a music producer and the chief engineer, and it's a pretty active studio based on what Carmen told me. One of his first recording projects, of course, was his own solo debut called Both Sides of the Coin. He's currently a member of the Max Weinberg band from Bruce Springsteen, right?
That's correct, yes.
And the Bay Area band, the Sons of Champlin, and who, of course, were a huge influence in the San Francisco music scene of the 60s and 70s. And again, if you're not familiar or hip to the Sons of Champlin, you can go back and look at their discography. What a cool band those guys are. In addition, and this is really interesting, I'm going to ask some questions about this. Carmen's a voting member of the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, which presents the recording industry's most prestigious award, the GRAMMY. So the ultimate goal here is we got to get Carmen to tell me, how do you get best podcasts, best music podcasts on the Grammys? We need to occupy.
Well, we'll see
Norris.
If we can make that a category.
Yeah, we need to make that a category, man. Best music Dude, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate your time.
Hey, Greg.
Man, you were born in Buffalo, but you grew up in Santa Cruz. What prompted that move?
Well, my father came to California, and I don't even know which fort he was at, but before he went off to World War II, he came to California and was at some fort here in California and loved California. Obviously, you know, raised himself in Buffalo. And then he had an opportunity. He worked in communications for Sylvania Electronics, which had a plant in Buffalo. And they transferred him. He asked for a transfer because they had a place in Santa Cruz. They had a plant in Santa Cruz. So they honored that, and we moved out west.
That's cool, man.
I was about 8 years old. Drove here in the 53. You know.
That's really cool. God, it's so cold in Buffalo, man.
It is, man. It is. I remember getting out of school and being snowed in, literally, you know, with snow up above the doorway. You know, you couldn't get out of your house.
I didn't realize, like, I have a really close friend in Buffalo, and he's Italian as well. It's such a huge Italian community.
It is, yeah.
It's like everybody I think I've spoken to in Buffalo is Italian. Yeah, it's just like really, really.
I think everybody's Italian there except for Rick James. I think he was.
Yeah, he's probably not Italian. Then you moved to LA. Well, I was wondering, what were you doing musically when you left Santa Cruz, and how'd you first get work moving out to LA?
Well, I had a band in Santa Cruz, which was really popular, and with great musicians, and but I was hitting the wall. You know, it was I played everywhere there was a place to play, and I played with every person there was to play with there, and I just felt like, okay, I want to do more, you know. So a friend of mine was working with, he was a drum tech for Billy Cobham.
Oh,
and
wow.
He invited me out to come to their rehearsal, which was at Studio Instrument Rentals. This was like early 1978.
Where
So
let me ask you one question. I'm ignorant of this. Where is Santa Cruz in relation to LA?
Santa Cruz is about 400 miles north.
Oh, wow. So it's
It's
really like,
75 miles south of San Francisco.
okay, cool. Very cool. Thanks. Sorry about that.
That's okay, cool. Little beach community, great place, great training ground, great music there, incredible musicians. But it's just a small town, and there's really nowhere to go. I mean, it's such an incredible place, and nobody really wants to leave there. And I didn't want to leave there either. But I wanted to have a career in music, and I wasn't able to really pull that off in Santa Cruz. So this guy, friend of mine who worked for Billy Cobham, he invited me, and I came down here to LA, and all of a sudden, the Brecker brothers are in the room, and Al Zignola, and all these incredible musicians who I've heard and listened to, and there they are, and I just said, I need to be where it is, I need to get down there. So I literally drove back, after I stayed here for a couple of days, and I drove back to Santa Cruz and sold my little car that I had and bought a big van and loaded up my amp and my guitar and a sleeping bag, and I just left. I just left Santa Cruz and lived in my car for about 2 weeks. Went to a couple of music stores and said, how do you get going in this town? And there was this newspaper that's not around anymore. I think it's been replaced by Craigslist, but it used to be called The Recycler.
Yeah, man, I've heard other guys talk about that. Yeah.
And I just started looking for people, looking for musicians, and I found this little band. It was a top 40 band playing at the little club. I'd never been in a top 40 band. I was always doing my original material. And so this was all new to me, but I auditioned for the band and joined the band, and then the drummer in the band had a room, and all of a sudden I was out of my van and living in somebody's house, and since I was working, I was able to pay a little bit of rent and stuff like that. And then my friend Bill Champlin, who I met in my band that I was talking about earlier called White Eyes, we opened up for the Suns, and that's how I met Bill. That's how I met Bill and Terry. And Bill came up to me and said, man, you're great. I want you to, I want to know who you are. What are you doing after the show? I said, well, I live in Santa Cruz. He goes, great. We're playing there tomorrow. Hang out. We'll drive back. I'll drive you home, because they were going to Santa Cruz that night just because they were playing the next day at this place called the Catalyst, which is kind of like the big place there. And so we literally stayed up all night and talked about music and got along incredibly. And we became best friends, and we're still best friends. I was best man at their wedding, and at him and Tamara's wedding. And Bill and I just, I've played on a lot of his stuff, and he's played on a lot of my stuff. And we're always doing some kind of music together, which is great fun. So he was a little bit more well connected than I was. So when I moved down here, he started bringing me to all these vocal sessions, and pretty soon, hey, Carmen, why don't you come in here and sing? So all of a sudden I was singing on all these records that David Foster was producing and other people. And pretty soon I was like one of the three singers that was working probably more than anyone else in this town during the 80s. And that kind of got me going. And then when I started playing with Bill, we played at this club, and then Rita Coolidge was in the audience, and she literally hired me on the spot. And that was kind of a cool thing because I didn't have to audition at all. It was just like, she said, I think you'd be a great guitar player for me. Do you want to go on the road? And I said, yes, please.
Yeah.
So she took me with her for like 5 years. And that was a lot of fun, man. She really taught me a lot about, how to be professional and how to like, no matter what condition Rita was in, if she was happy, sad, sick, well, she always performed to the top of her game every time. And I learned a lot about performing from Rita, about like, no matter what, you got to bring it, so because she did that, and she taught me how to do that.
Man, what a good story. I have some questions. Really cool, man. I really admire it. I really admire people that just like do shit, you know, because well, I mean, you just said I got to move. You left. I mean, it's, you know, some people think about things. Well, anything like, well, I really want to join the gym. Let me think about it for a year. You know.
Right. Yeah, I literally packed up and left.
Yeah.
I just knew, and the place, Los Angeles, smiled on me. You know, I mean, I had a rough first couple of weeks living in my van. It was July. It was like 105 outside and about 150 in my van. You know, so it was a little rough, but I found my way and got on my feet. And then Bill was instrumental in helping me survive. And then, you know, the Rita thing happened, and then you know, wrote the song for Chicago, and that bought me my house actually. And
God bless royalties.
This house, the same house that we're in right now. I've been here for 33 years, and you know, and then getting to play with Tower, and then Bill asked me to be in the Sons. It was just like, you know, I got to play with my two favorite bands, with Tower Power and the Sons of Champlin. I mean, musically for me, that's just the kind of music that I love, and I got to play with both of those people, which is just an incredible thing. I'm blessed, you know, to be able to do that.
A few questions for you. You said early on when you were talking about, you said, I wanted to have a career in music. A couple of questions here. How did you know that there was such a thing? And also, were your folks supportive of that, or?
Well, I mean, I didn't know. I just assumed that, you know, if I moved to where, you know, the indicator was when I went to that Billy Cobham rehearsal, and I saw all of these players that I have listened to on the radio and bought their records and everything. And I go, well, those are the guys I want to be playing with, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, I didn't know if I was going to be accepted or not, but I had to at least give it a shot.
Sure.
I just knew that Santa Cruz was going to be career-wise was going to be a dead-end street. And yes, parents, very, very supportive of me, which no one in that time frame was supportive of their kids, because you know, I mean, the music business is a rough business, and you know, a lot of parents think, oh, well, it's a nice hobby, you know, but for me, it was always more than a hobby, you know, always. And I think my dad, he was just a big lover of guitar music and big bands and stuff like that. And he came from a big family, and he was the youngest guy. So all the money was gone by the time it trickled down, and he was never able to get a guitar, you know? So he was kind of living his life through, you know, his guitar life through me once I started playing guitar. And he was instrumental in why I even play guitar, because when I was 5, I started playing drums, and then I started playing saxophone in the school band. I studied drums privately, and then played saxophone in my school band. And then he brought me to go see the Ventures.
Oh, wow!
At a high school. No, it was a college, Cabrillo College, which is close to Santa Cruz. They were doing a concert there, and my dad brought me because he always loved guitar, you know, and so, and even when I was 10 years old, I noticed, okay, no saxophone player in the Ventures. Drummer's like way in the back. And the guitar player was like, got all these girls around him and stuff. And so next day I went, Dad, I want to play guitar. And he goes, you want to play saxophone, drums, and guitar? And in other words, he's going, how am I going to afford this? I went, no, I just want to play guitar. And so we rented a guitar and to see if I was serious, and I was serious. And then that guitar turned into another guitar, into another guitar, into another guitar, until I finally got my first Les Paul, and then you know, I got into a band in junior high school, and our whole thing of how we learned how to play is we listened to the album Fresh Cream.
That was a great record, man.
It's a great record, and actually it was released in Europe before it was released in the United States, and the bass player in the band had actually gone to Europe like 6 months ahead and found this album called Fresh Cream and brought it back, and we learned every song, every player in the band learned the exact part. I learned every note Eric Clapton played. He learned bass player learned every note Jack Bruce played. Drummer learned every rhythm that the Ginger Baker, and we played that music every day until we got really, really good at it. And then we incorporated other tunes and started doing original things and stuff like that. But when we went out and played this, everybody thought that these were all original tunes because the album hadn't come out in the US yet.
Mm.
And when it did, the truth was out.
Mm.
It's not us.
Let me ask you this. Does a few questions again. You're self-taught?
I'm mostly self-taught.
That's amazing, man.
When I first started, I took some lessons, just to learn a little bit how to read music and have something to play, and I didn't know how to get started. But then I started playing in bands when I was in junior high school, and we played at our school dances, and all through high school I played at all my school dances, and so. I was pretty much self-taught, just learned stuff off records. My father had a reel-to-reel tape recorder, and I used to record songs at full speed and then play them back at half speed. Mm. That's how you did it back in the day. There was
there's no automatic slow down or something.
Right. So I would slow it down to half speed and play along and learn all the licks from Eric Clapton and Jimi Hendrix and whoever, Jeff Beck, all the people that were, my heroes back then. And that's how I started. And then this guy came into town, into Santa Cruz, who was like a jazz player. His name was Dale Ramey. And he, I saw him play, and it was just like, wow, this is amazing. I really want to take it to the next level, and I took maybe 5 or 6 lessons from him, but literally that was when I was 18 years old. And I'm still working on the stuff that he all the material that he gave me. I mean, the chord melodies, different modes, different fingerings of things. And this is the way the way that I teach guitar is like basically what I learned from him when I was 18. I mean, I'm still experimenting with his technique and the things that he showed me.
How did you learn though? But like you're in Tower of Power, so your knowledge of theory and comping and changes has to be pretty extensive. How did you learn that? That's not easy to like self-teach.
Well, when, just out of high school, I got a gig at this little restaurant, and we had to learn, all kinds of popular tunes and jazz type tunes. And I just learned that there was this book, and there still is this book called Mickey Baker book. Are you hip?
No, I'm not.
That's the great introduction to jazz. It's called Mickey Baker Jazz Improvisions or something. I'm not sure if it's called Jazz Improvisions, but it's definitely the Mickey Baker book or something like that. It's like this yellow and black book that I still have, and learned my first major 7 chords, my first 9th chords, and my altered chords, and that was like the beginning of like a journey into theory and into chord melodies and into chord leading, note leading stuff.
Yeah.
And then when Dale Ramey came into my life, he kind of took what I learned from the Mickey Baker book and just kind of made it all explode.
Okay. So you did still self-study, but you were one of those guys, you actually studied it and you hit it and you went over and over and over. Good for you, man. That's really impressive.
Yeah. And as far as the comping stuff, like the thing that I think really the comping thing is what got me the gig in Tower of Power. And that's just came from listening to James Brown and listening to, Ray Charles and Aretha Franklin. And those were just all my favorite. That was my favorite kind of music. And
70s funk is so great, man.
Yeah. And I never, I never really felt good about, playing. I mean, I love rock and roll, but I never really felt like that was me. I felt more into the funk thing and more into rhythm and blues and soul music. That's more where I felt comfortable.
That's cool, man. Really cool. I give you a lot of, so in general, I'm getting the sense that you're just a really good self-starter. Like you get shit done.
I pretty much am. I think that I don't know why, if it's from being an only child or what, but I need to be amused, and if you're an only child, the only way to amuse yourself is to do something. You know?
Yeah,
so,
good point. No,
I am a doer.
That's a very good point. Yeah, because that's very true. Yeah, it's not like you have somebody to occupy your time.
Right. So you know, and you know, my dad was really, really strict, and my mom was really, really overprotective. And for me to be a musician was kind of like, I mean, at the time I didn't realize it, but when I look back on it, I was pretty much going, I'm going to be in my room for the next 10 years practicing, you know, because, you know, I love you guys, but, you know, the overprotection thing and the strict,
yeah, man. So that saved your life being a musician.
Blowing my mind. So I'm just going to disappear. I'll be in here, you know.
Sure.
I'm not going to be getting into trouble. I'm just going to sit here and play my butt off, you know, every day after school, you know, and that's what I did.
So your exploration and getting out and becoming a musician, like really was healthy for you, like developmentally.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then my dad also was, you know, even though he was strict, he was incredibly, incredibly supportive. You know, for nobody I knew was supported by their parents to, you know, as far as being a musician, you know, they were hoping that it would just be a phase and it would go away, you know.
Yeah.
Dad was going, if you're going to be great, you got to go see the greats. And so he would bring me, you know, like I said, Santa Cruz is 75 miles south of San Francisco. He would, on weekends, once a month, he would bring me to the Fillmore to see.
Wow.
I saw B.B. King. I saw Albert King. I saw 10 Years After. I saw Jeff Beck.
Holy shit.
I saw Delaney and Bonnie. I saw Cream. You know, I mean, he would drop me off there and go get something to eat or see a movie and then pick me up afterwards. I was like 13, 14 years old. And,
that's very cool.
And to see the greats, I mean, you know, and he was right. You know, when you see why people are where they are, there's a reason, you know, and he wanted me to see that. And it was instrumental in my development for sure.
And, you know, and there's also a reason, not all the time, but many times why people are not where they are, you know, where they want to be, you know what I'm saying? Right. It's both ways. Yeah. Out of all those shows, just knee-jerk reaction, what are some of your best shows that you know, top 2 or 3 that you saw?
Well, definitely Jeff Beck.
That's incredible. At the Fillmore, you saw him. Who was it? What band was with him at that point?
It was Jeff Beck, Rod Stewart, Ron Wood, and played drums. Cozy Gold. Yeah, it was the first Jeff Beck band.
Oh, you know, that's so cool, man.
They had the album Truth out.
Yeah,
that was incredible.
I Ain't Superstitious. What that whole record is just incredible, man. Incredible.
So then they did all of that stuff, you know. So that was definitely memorable. Delaney and Bonnie was really with Eric Clapton was one of my favorite concerts that I saw there. Billy Preston, that was incredible too.
Yeah, talk about funky, man.
Yeah. I mean, just amazing, you know. And so those things were really important, developmental, you know, things in my life that really helped me.
How was 10 Years After? You know, Alvin Lee is just one of my. He's so bluesy, man. I'm a kind of a blues guy. I love that.
Yeah.
What was
that was exciting. You know, that was really exciting. You know, I thought he was great, and it was great. And I actually have a B.B. King story that I'll share with you.
Cool.
My friend, who was 2 years older than me, I was 14, he was 16. He got his driver's license. He goes to see B.B. King at the Fillmore. And he somehow is on the side of the stage when B.B. King comes off stage and goes, "You were great, B.B., blah, 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 blah. And, you know, I know this 14-year-old guitar player and you should meet him." And B.B. said, "Well, I'd like to meet the boy," you know. And so the next day, this guy knocks on my door and goes, "Man, B.B. wants to meet you, man." And I go, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Yeah, we're going to the Fairmont Hotel where B.B. King is staying. He's playing at the Fillmore. We're going tonight." And so we went
Did you even know who B.B. King was at the time?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Okay, you did.
I did.
That's
Yeah, I did.
yeah.
And so we went to BB King's hotel room, and I got to sit and play with BB King, and it was really,
Oh my
really
God.
an incredible thing for for a 14-year-old kid to be in a room with this incredible guitar player. And he was incredible. He played a lot of stuff that you'd never hear BB King play. And I actually still have a little reel-to-reel tape of this that I listened to about 6 months ago. It still works, and it's me and BB, and the way he was playing, he was playing like jazz stuff. He was like going, this is how I practice, but I feel the blues, so the blues is what I really feel in my soul. So that's why I don't play this jazz stuff. But he can play a lot more than anybody ever saw.
Wow. Now, where was your cell phone when you needed it? Talk about an iconic selfie that you could have.
Exactly. Right.
Holy shit, that is so cool.
What was cool too is Guitar Player magazine was there to do an interview with him, and they and then the article came out, and it didn't mention me by name, but it talked about, the article was called Jamming with BB, and it said about this 14-year-old kid who was playing with BB, and BB was kind of educating him, and I was playing along with him, and BB said, I'll never forget it. He goes, well, see, what you got is from, right now you got from A to M. You got to learn everything from A to Z. and I still remember that, and I still like, yeah, okay, I got these little things that I do, and it's like I'm not using the full vocabulary. I'm just using, just a portion of it. And he noticed that, and he brought it up, and that was very influential in me trying to get better and better and better, because I wanted to get from A to Z. I don't think I'm at Z yet, but
yeah, right. I hear you.
Making progress.
What a cool! I have heard so many nice stories over the 600 plus interviews I've done about that, of his kindness.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of not surprised. I mean, he's really, I went out of his way to be kind.
And then my band opened up for him in Santa Cruz at the Santa Cruz Civic Auditorium, maybe 3-4 years later, and I went to his dressing room. I said, I don't know if you remember me, BB, but I was that guy that was in your room in San Francisco. He goes, yeah, I remember. You never know if he did.
Yeah.
He's such a nice guy, But I remember looking over to the side of the stage while I was performing, and he was there on the side of the stage watching me, and it was very, very cool thing that I'll never forget.
Yeah, that's nice, man. Wow, that's really cool. Very cool. So I'm going to ask you about, I'm going to throw out some names out there of artists you work with, Carmen. If you could talk about how you got the gig and maybe a cool or interesting story about working with them. Let's start with Smokey Robinson.
Well, that was a friend of mine who was doing some background vocals on Smokey's album, called me up and said, hey, we're looking for, a three-piece group. I already got 2 people, and this person I'd worked with before doing vocal sessions, and she said, we got this date with Smokey Robinson. We went to his house. He had a recording studio there, and we recorded a couple of tunes. And I couldn't tell you what album it was on because it was a while back, but
sure.
But I sang on a couple of his songs on one of his albums that I don't know what it was, but definitely did it, and definitely met him. What a great guy he was too. What a nice man.
So you're a lot like Bill then. So your voice you're equally competent as a singer as you are as a musician player.
Yeah, it's funny because when I sing, people, and then they hear me play guitar, they go, I didn't know you played guitar. And if I play guitar and then they hear me sing, well, I didn't know you sang. So yeah, it's kind of a, I'm trying to do both now. I'm trying to, perform in my own band, the Carmen Grillo band, and singing and playing. And that's a fun band because I got Mike Finnegan on keyboards, who's just an amazing player, and Tony Brownigal, who's played with a drummer who's played with everybody, Robert Cray, Bonnie Raitt. He's just a great blues drummer, and it's a great band.
That's cool, man. Well, it's good that you have all these tools that, they're in a sense, each streams of income for you that you don't that other people don't necessarily have, which is great.
That's true. If I did one thing, I don't think I would be, the lights it would be dark in here, I think. I don't think I could afford to keep the lights on, but between the studio and singing and playing and teaching, I'm able to actually, have a little bit of a career. So
awesome. How about Donna Summer?
Donna Summer stuff, I got the call from Giorgio Moroder. I'd worked
Oh,
with
wow.
I've worked with him on another project, and so we sang all these Donna Summer tunes. They were going to make a double album, and it ended up being it was the Wanderer album. That was supposed to be a double album, and it ended up being just a single album. But we recorded all the songs for a double album, so we recorded like 20 songs or something like that, which was like cha-ching. It was great.
Yeah, good project.
Scale. It was all union scale stuff, and it was a really great thing. I never got to meet her. She was there singing right when I got there one of the days, but she walked out the back door and didn't meet any of the other singers. So I never got to meet her, but definitely sang on the Wanderer album, and which is a lot of those songs are on some of her greatest hit albums as well.
Man, you've got to have a good voice because Giorgio Moroder can call anybody he wants, man. That's really cool.
Yeah, that was a cool thing, and he's a great guy, a great producer, and he one of the good things about Giorgio is he surrounds, and that's another thing I learned from him, is to surround yourself with great people and you'll get a great outcome.
Sure.
He had the best people around him, and a lot of times Giorgio was just like, he would just let everybody do their thing and just go, I love it.
And that was it.
And that was it. Just call the right, it's casting, you
Sure.
call the right people and they just let them do what they do and it comes out great.
It's interesting because there's so many different styles of production. Then you hear of like a Mutt Lange who is totally opposite, where he'll have the best people, but he's like on top, he's got his way. And so it's interesting how so many different results, you can come up with a good end product.
Right.
Yeah.
He's Giorgio's kind of an overall, let me just kind of keep everybody in bounds kind of a guy. We're Mutt, who I've never worked with, but just reading some of the articles of people that have worked with him, he is definitely hands-on and very, very meticulous.
Yeah, very. I mean, I had Phil Collen from Def Leppard, and he talked a lot about the making of Hysteria. I think that was the name of the really big album that they did, and he was in every step of the way. But I mean, they had 7 like hit singles off that, so you really can't say, you can't complain about the guy's results, right?
For sure.
Boz Scaggs.
Boz, I'm trying to think of what happened with Boz. I sang on one of his records, and again, it was so long ago I can't tell you which one it was. It wasn't Silk Degrees. It wasn't the big one.
Sure.
but it was one of his records, and I think I just sang one tune on it. So enough to put that in the resume. I never.
Sure.
I think I did meet him when Tower Power played at. He had a club, and he may still have a club called Slim's
I didn't know that.
In San Francisco.
I didn't know that.
Tower played there, and I met him there, but I didn't meet him when we did the vocal session.
How did you get hooked up with Tower Power? And if you're comfortable, what prompted you to leave?
Okay, Tower was, my band White Eyes in Santa Cruz opened up for Tower many times, and but I never met the guys. I met them when they came to Los Angeles. Again, Bill Champlin, my brother, helped me out with that. Emilio and him were friends. Emilio Castillo, the leader of Tower Power, and said, hey, we're looking for a guitar player. Do you know anybody?
Oh, wow.
And Bill said, yeah. And he recommended me, and I went and auditioned. And there was, God, I don't know how many guitar players, man. There was tons of guitar players. And they picked me. And I played with them for 10 years. And it was an incredible experience. Talk about something that sounds, at the top of their game every night. We never had a bad show. We played 200 shows a year. That's about 2,000 shows I played with them.
That's amazing, man.
Never, ever had a bad gig ever. It was just always always on. You know, it was an incredible experience. A lot of my favorite music, just fun music. And, you know, I didn't get to solo a lot, but it wasn't about that. You know, it was about being in this great group. You know, I mean, I got to carry the ball here and there, you know, and that was all cool. But you know, it was a great thing to have done for 10 years. But after 10 years, you asked me why I left. I really felt we had some time off, and I went and played you know, what they call out here in LA a corporate shift.
Yeah, sure.
So you're playing, you know, jazz tunes, you know, for, you know, standards, and you're playing like more top 40 and stuff like that. And I found that I really had trouble navigating, you know, through stuff that I was able to play years before, because I was so locked into this Tower of Power thing that I became a one-trick pony.
Interesting. Even though it's a high-level trick, it's
it's a high-level trick, and nobody does that trick better than they do.
Yeah.
But I just felt as a musician, you know, again, you know, I came to LA, you know, to better my career and to be a better player and everything like that. And even though I was in my 40s when I left Tower of Power, I felt like I need to do this. I need to like play more kinds of music. I need to like get better at what I do, be a better guitar player, be a better singer, be a better musician, be a better band leader. And the only way that I'm going to be able to do that is to see what's next, you know. And
Wow.
I took a chance, and you know, I had to reinvent myself, but it opened up a whole bunch of opportunities. Even though it was frightening, it opened up a whole lot of opportunities as a guitar player and as a singer and as a studio owner. And I just started doing more and more guitar things and more vocal things. And I started growing as a musician, which is what I wanted to do. Because I feel like I could have played in Tower of Power forever and been happy. But I just felt as a musician, I need to get better. And the only way that I could get better is to like do other things. And so I opted to do other things.
Man, let me ask you this. You made a big, excuse me, I don't know if you use this term or not, leap of faith, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm always interested in learning about what's inside people's heads when they do that. When you did that, what was the sense of optimism that drove you, or was there none, or was it just whatever happens? I get the sense you're a pretty optimistic guy in general.
Well, I am an optimistic guy, but not to the point of stupidity, you know, because there is a limit to how much of an optimist you can be, I think.
But it's hard to find that line sometimes, especially when you're making a leap of faith like that. It's like, and especially in your 40s, it's like,
right.
You know.
I could have hung on to this thing and been happy and made a good income and retired and played the best music in the world and all of those things. But I just felt, you know, it's something that was like a burning desire inside, and I had to do it. You know, It wasn't even like it was being optimistic. It's just I got to do this. You know, I just knew that I had to do it, and I believed in it. You know, I trusted my gut. I think that's the main thing, is to trust your gut.
I have learned so much from doing all these interviews. And the one thing, karmically, spiritually, however you want to put it, is that when people are operating out of a pure position of, man, this is where my heart is leading me, oddly enough, it works.
Yeah, it does. And would it have worked if I didn't do it? It probably would have. But
yeah.
So it's just, again, it's a journey through my musical life or life. You know, it's just like, if you don't take the journey, you know, if you just sit there and be comfortable, I felt like I could get better as a musician. That was important to me. It was more important for me to get better and do more things and have more opportunities as a musician than it was to be safe in this little thing that was Tower of Power, which was so great.
Sure.
I felt that it was kind of safe for me, and I don't like playing it safe that much. Still don't.
Yeah. Thank you. Let me ask you this. Do you, sorry, I'm having a bit of a brain fart. I'm trying to articulate. No, because I think that's so cool. Like when you said, yeah, would it have worked out? Sure. But when you're passionate about what you're doing, I think there's a different reason for waking up there's just a different connection to your work than when you're kind of mechanically going through it. Because I've done both, to be honest, as you have, as everybody has,
Yeah, like you said, it's a follow your heart kind of a thing.
Yeah. Talk about NARAS, National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences.
NARAS, yes.
NARAS. How did you get to be a member of that? And to the extent you can talk about stuff that's not like confidential or proprietary, like what are your duties there? How does all that work? Because it's really interesting.
To be a voting member, you have to be on a bunch of commercially released records. I forget how many it was. Maybe it was 6 or something. And so you can join as just a member, and members get like little perks here and there, but you get to go to meetings and have these little on these panels and stuff like that. But as a voting member, you have to have been on a certain amount of records that have been commercially released. That's just not your friend's record that recorded in his garage. It means actually commercial products.
Shucks.
And at that point,
just kidding.
I was on way more than 6 records. So I became a voting member, and it's a responsibility. It's always easy to vote for your friends and stuff like that. But what you're supposed to do is to listen to everything, and let your ears tell you what you should vote for. And there's been times I've voted for friends, and there's been times when I've not voted for friends because when I listened to things, I thought that something maybe that a friend didn't do was more worthy of a Grammy nomination.
Sure. I would imagine being involved in that, I'm just talking, you're a really easy guy to get along with. Where did you learn these people skills? Because you grew up isolated, disciplinarian dad. I'm not saying anything negative about your folks, but that, and then overprotective mom, that's not a recipe for like really, what do you call it? A guy who's got very adaptable, real good people skills. You wouldn't think anyway, but where did you get those skills, man? I'm curious about that.
I just, that's an incredied question that I never really thought about. And I'm not even sure that I think I probably do have good people skills because, as far as people coming to my studio and working, there's so many places in Los Angeles that they can work. And I have so many clients that have worked here for years and years. And I don't think it's because of my gear. I think it's because
everybody's gear is the same.
Yeah,
right. And Donna, Giorgio Moroder, David Foster, and these guys can get like anybody, but you're the first, you're the guy that
I got Tom Scott coming in here today, and he can work anywhere. We've done some stuff together, and obviously he likes me enough to come and do it here. So where I learned the people skills, man, I don't know. I think just from watching others, playing with Bill, I think has helped me a lot because I see the way he conducts himself, and playing in Tower of Power.
But he's a maverick though, man.
He is a maverick.
He's a maverick, Bill. So I don't know. He'd be a good guy and a bad guy in a sense,
Yeah. I mean, sure. Well, that's because he's a Gemini. He is a good guy and a bad guy.
I hear you, man.
It's just like, I think with Bill, I was like one of the few people, that called him on his shit every once in a while.
Yeah. Well, that's how
Bill will keep going and going and going and going until somebody goes, no. I was that guy who said no.
Yeah, right.
You know, and I think he respected me for it because everybody was always, you know, he's so great, and everybody always comes up to Bill and tells him how great he is and stuff.
Yeah.
And me and Bill have always been more on a you know, eye to eye, heart to heart,
Real
conversation. You know, when we talk about stuff that we don't like about each other.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, and I think he respects me for that, and I respect him for that as well. You know, but I'm still trying to answer the question about the people skills. You know, the one good thing about the Emilio Castillo, who was the leader and still is the leader of Tower of Power, is I watched how he got what he wanted from people. He would always say, you know, if we were recording an album and if it was me or somebody else, and he would just go, do you think you could try something a little different? In other words, it wasn't like,
man, that sucks, dude, again.
Right. It was like, you think you could try something a little different. And you know, when somebody asks you a question, you're like, it kind of takes all the defense mechanisms away.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can do it different, you know, and so you do it different, and he goes, no, not quite, you know, why don't you do that? And why don't you do, you know, it's always a question. It's never like you did that wrong, or you didn't do it right, or it's not what I want, or it was never anything like that. It was always like, do you think you could try something a little different, you know? And to me, you want to please, you know.
Yeah, you're engaging. A question,
something of you want to. At least I do. I want to try to please them, you know.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's normal.
So it was very easy to work with, and I think I've incorporated that into when I'm an engineering or a band leader or a producer. I think I've incorporated that type of philosophy into my work.
What does Bill say? And you tell him, do you think you could do something different?
Sometimes
does that work? Does that work?
Yeah, he goes, maybe I'm the wrong guy for this. Is that what?
Oh my God, that's funny as hell.
I communicate incredibly together. Yeah. I can ask anything of Bill. If I've had him in here, and I said, man, you know, why don't we keep that, and why don't we keep that, and let's do another one. You know? and then I'll go, okay. Yeah. So the same philosophy again. Yeah.
But I'm thanks for answering that, because you got to learn those skills somewhere, unless, like, you know, plenty of people do grow up in a household where it is, you know, communications free. I'm not saying yours wasn't, but, you know, in a different scenario, brothers is more communication, let's say. And if you don't have that, you got to learn, and you have to learn that skill somehow. It's not like, you know, hair, it just grows on you. You got to absorb it from somebody, or on you, not on me. But
I just learned, you know, just by doing, you know, being around certain people and seeing why it works for them, and just kind of paying attention to that, you know.
Thanks, man. Tell me the top 3 experiences you had musically, Carmen. Knee-jerk reaction.
Well, okay. Getting the gig with Tower Power was a great thing. You know, being asked to be in the Sons of Champlin was a great thing. You know, I'm looking for number 3, trying to think of number 3. I think it was when my father said, you know, when he started to worry about me being a musician, even though he was supportive, going, you got to have something to fall back on. And me saying, okay, well, I'll start singing.
Oh,
and I think he was thinking of something else. I think he was thinking of like, you know, maybe you should get a real job. But I said, you know, yeah, you're right, Dad. I'm going to start singing. You know, so I was a singer by default, really. You know, it was just nobody else wanted to do it, and my dad's kind of like weird encouragement in that scenario of like, you know, have something to fall back on, and that kind of made me think like, I need to do more than one thing. You know?
Yeah,
those are like three you know,
cool,
life defining,
sure,
life changing things. And if I was going to say number 4, it would be getting a song on the Chicago album. That was pretty good, because that song was the hardest song I ever wrote.
Why is that?
Me and Jimmy Pankow we changed the song so many times, and we had no word. I finally came up with a couple of opening lines that he built on, and then we were both then we were kind of home free. Just one thing led to the next, and we had our lyrics together. And then Chicago cut the song, and it didn't work out, and it was, all of a sudden they cut it, but it wasn't on the album. And then David Foster said, well, I like the tune, let's try it again. And that never happened. So
yeah,
again, and David played synthesizer bass on it, and I think he used a different drummer, and kind of used the Toto guys, Lukather and Mike Landau and stuff, to instead of the Chicago band, he kind of used his guys and recut the song, and it came out great. And so that's how it made the album. So it was the hardest song ever write. It was written, it was on the album, it was off the album, and then it was on the album. And
that's really cool.
So yeah, that was a big thing.
Serendipity there, man. That's awesome. Tell me, what were some of the low points or dark periods that you've had to deal with?
Oh, dark periods. Well, unfortunately, as most musicians in the 80s, had like little drug problems and stuff like that.
Sure.
I definitely dabbled in some of the cocaine and bad things. And luckily, I'm still alive to tell about it.
Sure.
But I think during that period of time, during the 80s, when I was like, in my 20s and 30s, that could have been like the time for me to really be, have more of a career and be a better musician but I kind of wasted that time. Then again, if I would have gotten successful at that time, because I had a bad habit, I probably wouldn't be here, because
yeah,
I fed my habit even more. So things work out the way they're supposed to.
Yeah.
But that was definitely a low point, and I'm glad it's over with.
Cool. Thank you, man. I'm
Yeah.
glad for you. If you could go back and give advice to your younger self, assuming you would have listened, what advice would you have told yourself that would have made your life easier? Business, personal, whatever you'd like.
Well, that's a hard question, because it's almost hypothetical, and it's like, man, I don't know. I always listened to my heart, and I still do. And I think I made a lot of good moves in my career because I listened to my heart. So if I was going to go back and talk to myself, I would say, you're doing the right thing. Listen to your heart, follow your dream. And if I had to give that advice to any other young person coming up, I would say, follow your heart, keep your eye on the goal, and don't take your eye off the goal. There's a lot of distractions, and don't be distracted, because distraction is the enemy of greatness.
Yeah, man, that's for sure. It's funny what you said. I was thinking your dad is thinking, like, when he's telling you that, oh, Carmen's going to go study accountants, be an accountant at night part time. I'll sing. That's a really good story, man. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, right.
Hey, let's talk about
expecting that.
Yeah. He was thinking, oh, that's right. Hit himself in the head. No, but it's funny though, because look how that impacted your life. That's what's really cool about it. Yeah.
Defining moment. Yeah.
Let's talk about gear for a few minutes. Tell me, Carmen, your go-to guitar right now, and what other two would round out your top three? And also, has that changed over the years?
Yes, it's definitely changed over the years. I used to use one of my main guitars was a Guild Bluesbird, which is kind of shaped like a Les Paul, but it's hollow. Got a great hollow body sound, and I played that guitar so much that it really didn't play anymore. And then I put it on consignment for sale, and then Larry Carlton bought that guitar, and he ordered a song called Bluesbird.
Oh my God.
Guild Bluesbird, and so he still has a guitar. I talked to him about a couple of months ago. He goes, yeah, I still got it.
That's funny.
That was my main guitar back in Santa Cruz. And then, yeah, they've changed over the years. Being in Tower of Power, a lot of people, since we're such a musicians band, a lot of companies tried to give us free gear, and so there would be people coming up with guitars for me to play, play this one, play this. And I just like, man, I mean, a lot of guys would just go, yeah, free guitar. But for me, it was like, if I'm going to play this thing every night, I got to love it.
Yeah.
I didn't love any of the guitars that people were bringing me until I met the guys from Fernandez, which is a Japanese guitar company.
Yeah, right. Fernandez Strats.
Yes, and that's what I have, and that's my main guitars. It has an ebony fingerboard that has a certain tone that other guitars don't have. Their guitars now, I think, are more geared towards metalheads. They're kind of weird shapes and stuff like that. But for a while, they had Fernandez Tellys and Fernandez Strats, and they actually built me a kind of a custom one that's got a little bit smaller body. But I just love the necks on those Fernandez guitars, and I love the tone. And part of the tone of those guitars is the pickups that I use on those guitars, which are made by a company called Harmonic Design.
Are those standard in Fernandez or?
No, they're not. Actually, when I was endorsed by Fernandez when I was in Tower of Power, they used to have me go around and do these little clinics and to show off their guitars and stuff. And I forget what city I was in, but they said, you don't have to bring your guitar. We got tons of Fernandez guitars, so you just show up and there'll be people there and everything. So they give me this guitar and I go, man, this sounds like way better than my Fernandez. What's going on? It goes, well, we're trying out these new pickups from this guy in Bakersfield, and this company's called Harmonic Design. I went, these sound amazing. Give me this guy's number, So I contacted him, and he outfitted both of my guitars with his pickups, and they're just, for me, they're amazing.
Is he still around? Is that company? I've never heard of them. Yeah. Harmonic Design.
I know nobody's heard of him. I think he, has a lot of business in the Japanese market, but his pickups are incredible. So
let me ask you this. This is timely. I just saw a Fernandez Strat on Craigslist here in town. Mm-hmm. And I like the way the guitar look, and I like dark wood necks. Mm-hmm. And it was priced really well. So what is it? So but I have, as you see, a couple of Strats. How is Fernandez different than a Fender for you?
Okay, well, the at least my Fernandez, I don't know what the one you saw, but mine has a Floyd Rose vibrato arm system. And, like I said, I had the other pickups put in it. And I think the main thing is the feel of the frets and the ebony fingerboard.
Yeah.
That really speaks, man. I don't know what it is about that wood, but I've never played another guitar with an ebony fingerboard other than Fernandez. Great.
It's funny, that black one is ebony, and that's the one I pick up most of the time. I like because it's ebony neck and fingerboard, and I really like the tone of it. It feels good. It just feels good. It sounds good, So is that that's it? The Fernandez? Do you have any others that you go to?
Well, I mean, I think I'm down to I forget how many guitars I have, maybe 10 or 11.
Wow, that's really.
I got a 67 335 that I don't really play out that much, but it's an incredible piece of gear. And what else do I have? A 91 Les Paul, which is pretty cool, that I just put some Duncan, what are they called? The Duncan PAF pickups on it. Man, it's just it's weird. The pickups that came with the 91 Les Paul, they're really, I mean, probably for metal, they're really good. I don't know what was going on with them, but they just didn't sound right to me. And once I put these pickups in it, it's like a Les Paul,
Yeah.
Really.
Man, I had the same problem with this one. They had these high output, 490, 498, and I just didn't even like it. And then I put EMGs, same thing, PAFs, and I love it.
Yeah, great. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
I've got a Fernandez Telecaster that I like a lot. I also have a Pete Townsend Telecaster.
Oh, wow. Is that a Fender?
Made by Schecter.
Oh, cool.
Schecter, he used that particular, not the one I have, but he used that model guitar on the Eminence Front tour.
Great. That was great. Wow.
A guitar. It's a really cool guitar. It's got the pickups are called the Super Rocker pickups. I guess they're made by Schecter, and and you can split the coils on both of them. So you really can get like the telly sound, or you can get a lot of kind of angry with it too. So that's a cool guitar. I've got a Guild Starfire that I have flat wounds on for like jazzy type stuff. And I have a Guild acoustic. I couldn't tell you what model it was. It's a D something. And that's a great guitar. I bought that on eBay when eBay first came out. I was the only bidder on it. I bid
Wow.
like $800. It's probably worth twice as much as that.
Very cool.
Like $800. I was the only bidder, and I got the guitar, and I've had it for 20 some years. It's a beautiful, wonderful guitar.
God, hard to think that eBay's been around 20 something years already, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, right?
Wow.
That's all. What else do I have? I have a Squier, Fender Squier Stratocaster that I put Lindley Fralin pickups on. I put his whole pickguard assembly on it.
Uh-huh. Are they active, those, or passive?
No, they're passive. Yeah. And that's a great sounding Strat. I'm not really happy with the frets on that. I think I'm going to have it refretted to be more like my Fernandez. The frets on my Fernandez are just like, I'm so used to them that they're just, you can get a little bit of meat of your finger underneath the string, and really easy to bend. The Squier Strat is kind of hard to bend strings on. So I'm going to change out the frets.
Are they still around, Fernandez?
I'm not really sure, to be quite honest with you. I know they used to have an American little hub here in close to me in Van Nuys, but I'm not even sure if they're still around.
Yeah, I'm going to look at that guitar.
At NAMM, they used to have like a huge booth, and then it got smaller and smaller and smaller. And I haven't been to NAMM in a couple of years, so I actually don't know if they're still around.
Interesting. Who is some of the favorite musicians that you've enjoyed playing with?
Sorry, that was my phone.
No, it's all good.
Favorite musicians that I've played with. I've recorded some more of my favorite musicians than I've actually been on stage with, but obviously Bill Champlin is just an incredible singer, writer, organ player, guitar player, and he's been very, very influential in me, and we've had some very magical moments on stage together throughout the years. And now I'm playing with Mike Finnegan, who's an incredible singer and organ player as well. And
that's in your trio.
Yeah, well, it's a quartet, but yeah, he's one of my favorite musicians. Who else? Drummers. Played with some great drummers, but none of them are famous or anything like that, But the guy I'm playing with now, Tony Brownagle, he's an incredible groove drummer. Herman Matthews, who was in Tower of Power with me, and I've done a lot of other things with him as well. Herman Matthews is one of my favorite drummers. Russ McKinnon, who was also in Tower of Power, one of my favorite drummers. He went off to do a lot of other things after Tower of Power, and we've done a lot of things together. He's a great musician. Bass players, who have I played with bass wise? Again, not famous people necessarily, but just great musicians. This guy that I'm playing with now is his name is Alexis Sklarevsky.
Wow.
It's like Lee Sklar with an Evsky.
Yeah.
On the end, and he's an incredible player. He actually produced Rocco Prestia's, who's the bass player in Tower of Power.
Yeah.
His one and only video called Fingerstyle Funk, which is for any bass players out there, that's an incredible educational video. And Alexis, the guy that I'm playing with now, produced that. He's an instructor at the Musicians Institute. Fine player, great reader, incredible feel, great tone, just an incredible player. And so yeah, I'm blessed to be playing with a lot of really great people.
Tell me your top 3 Desert Island discs. Knee-jerk reaction, just for now, because obviously this could change in 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. Gotta be the first Jimi Hendrix album, Are You Experienced?
Mm-hmm.
That is a must-have. The Jeff Beck Truth album.
It's such a good record, man.
Yeah, must have, game changer, and whatever the first Van Halen
Van
album.
Halen one.
What is the first one? Is it just called Van Halen?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, game changer.
Cool. Tell me your definition of happiness.
Oh, wow. Happiness is to be able to do what you love. I mean, for me, that's happiness. I'm able to live this life of being a musician and not have to really work for anyone in any kind of job that's that somebody's telling me to do something I don't want to do, And so I think when you're able to do what you love, that's happiness, and I do what I love, and again, I've used the word blessed. I'm blessed to be able to do what I love.
Thanks, man. This is a tough question. What do you like most about yourself?
Oh, wow. Like you said, I think my hair.
You have great hair, man. I got to tell you. No, I mean, like, beyond the physical.
Yeah. I think what I like about myself is I try to treat people the way that I want to be treated.
Do unto others, man.
And I hope people see that in me, that I try to be kind to other people, because I like to be treated kindly as well.
Flip side, if there's one thing you could change, what would you want to change?
I wouldn't mind being taller. I'm 5'5", and it's almost like a handicap, I mean, it really isn't considered a handicap, but I think taller people are looked at more favorably than people.
Dude, I'm like 5'9", and I feel the same way.
At least if I was taller, maybe I wouldn't be humble, So I think being 5'5" is humble to me, and so it's a good thing, and but it's something I wish. It would have been nice to be, have a couple more inches up.
I say the same thing, to be honest with you. It's funny.
The thing is, it's like people who are short want to be taller. People who are tall want to be shorter.
No, that's not true. I've never talked to a tall person and said, I wish I was shorter. I'm sorry, Carmen. I got to call you on that.
High want to sing low. People who sing low want to sing high,
Yeah. It's funny, though, but I noticed with guitar players, they're really tall or short. There's like no like 5'10", 5'11", 5'9". They're either like, 6'4" or, 5'5", 5'7". It's really interesting. Right. Yeah. It's pretty something or someone you miss from your childhood.
Someone I miss from my childhood.
Or something.
Well, I miss my parents paying for all my bills. And as far as people, I miss my parents. My mom passed away in 2014.
Sorry, man.
My dad passed away. Thank you. And my dad passed away in 1986. And I literally think of them every day.
Your dad passed away young.
Yeah. He was.
Wow.
He was 63 when he passed away, and my mom was 92. And I took care of my mom the last 4 years of her life, and that's quite a job to take care of someone elderly like that. But I'm really glad that I did it, and I'm glad I was able to do it. If I had a job, like I can make my own hours now. If I was working for someone else, I wouldn't have been able to do what I did for her.
Sure.
So I feel good that I was able to do that. But I do miss my parents. They were very, very supportive in my career, and it's great. Even though at the time, I think it was embarrassing. I was embarrassed that they were so supportive, because no other parents were supportive. And so I was thinking, man, my parents are weird. They actually like this whole career thing that I'm doing. And so, and at the time, it was embarrassing. But now that I understand it, it was pretty great thing.
Yeah, totally, man.
Have them behind me. They were my biggest fans. They came to, my concerts all the time when I was playing in Santa Cruz, and my dad would drive to Las Vegas, or from Santa Cruz or Reno or wherever I was playing, and they were fans. They were very supportive.
That's wonderful, man. That's very cool. Something about yourself people might find a little odd.
Huh? You'd have to ask them. You know? I don't know. Let me think. What would be odd about me? I don't know how to answer that question.
No, it's fair. It's cool.
I wish I had an answer for you. I've been able to answer everything else, but that one kind of, you stumped me on that one.
No, well, I'm going to tell everybody, Carmen did not want, I usually give questions ahead of time. Carmen did not want these, and this is good. Usually people are like, holy shit, man, I wish I had the questions. You're like doing.
No, like I said, I don't know if I had that question beforehand, if I would have been able to answer it. I don't know what's odd about me. I'm sure there's something odd about me that if you asked 5 of my friends, they would probably be able to tell you what that was, but I don't know what that is. Okay, not to know, right?
Yeah, of course. God, yeah. I don't even know.
You don't have the answer.
As you're talking, I don't even know if I know. I'd have to ask my wife would have a list, of course, but I don't know for myself. Speaking of which, single or in relationship?
I am married to my 3rd wife. We've been married for 15 years, been together for 20.
Very cool, man.
Yeah.
3rd time's a charm.
Yeah, absolutely. It's working out that way.
Yeah, 20 years is a long time.
It is.
Good for you, man. Congratulations.
She's still laughing at all my stuff, and it's a good thing. She's very supportive as well.
That's awesome, man. I think it's important. I mean, I know they've done all these studies about, having somebody who gives you a more fulfilling life. And I've been with Ann for 27 years, and I don't ever take it for granted. But a lot of my buddies, when we're talking, that aren't in that situation maybe, or they say, hey, you don't realize the stability that's given you. And I feel, and I feel grateful for that. Again, I don't take that for granted anyway. So, but yeah,
it's great to have somebody who you can trust and rely on, like anything business wise or that needs to be taken care of. I can ask my wife Denise, can you take care of this, and I don't have to worry about her. She's totally capable of she's like my right hand.
Yeah, that's great. I give you credit for getting married a 3rd time. That's
with no prenup.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just to do that again a 3rd time, it took some courage.
Apparently, I'm a big fan of it.
No, but sometimes you find the right one too, and it's like, this is my 2nd marriage, but yeah, I get it, man.
Yeah, my wife, she asked me if I wanted a prenup because she knows that I've been through 2 divorces, and I said, if I'm going to go into this with an out, I don't think I should go into this. So
yes, I get that.
I said no, and I think she appreciated that.
Yeah, well, who wouldn't?
It's just and realistically, it's just like if you're going to go into a marriage with like some kind of thing, like, well, if it doesn't work out, my shit is my shit, and your shit is, it's just like, that's not any way to enter into like a lifelong relationship.
Yeah, I understand that, and I agree with you. At the same time, I could see guys who have gotten burned and they're like, never again. But I think I would err on the side of you of, if I'm feeling that way, let's just not get married and let's just hang out.
Right.
But yeah.
And for me, it was just like, we dated for 5 years, and my wife couldn't hurt a flea. I was always waiting for like, okay, where's the bad, when is the bad foot going to drop? And it never dropped, and it still hasn't dropped. So, she's a love bomb, so.
Well, you know what else trips me out? When people say like, man, I was with her for 5 years, but as soon as we got married, it was totally different. I'm like, how the fuck does that happen?
Right.
Yeah. That always
that was my second wife. That was
really. And so
we dated for 5 years too. And literally the night on the first night was like, oh my God, what have I done?
Holy crap.
Yeah.
So that's a real thing. It just happens. Wow. Oh my God.
It's just like the campaigning period is over. Now
now I'm in office. You're in trouble. Wow, that sucks, man.
Yeah, wow. It
did. I have to say gratefulness, thanks to God afterwards, because I'm lucky.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, to have a partner in life that literally, I mean, we go through everything together, and it's so rewarding to not be
Yeah.
alone in all this, you know. And she's really smart, so she comes in really handy around tax time.
Hey, do you have any hobbies outside of music or interests?
Well, I mean, I like to play golf, but I've been kind of dealing with some like weird back stuff lately, so I haven't played golf in about 7 or 8 months. But I think that's a great way to unwind and forget about music, and work on the same kind of skills that you know that got me to be good as a musician. You know, to be good at other things too. To use those same skills and discipline. You know, it's rewarding when you're able to do something else that's that you know that takes a little bit of practice, you know, and
Yeah.
it's rewarding. But I haven't been able to do it, unfortunately. But that's a good thing. I always like sports. I like watching sports. I like always been a sports kind of guy.
Man, well, I hope your back heals up.
Yeah, it's pretty good right now, but it's just I don't want to test it because I got a lot of stuff coming up, and I don't want to be hobbling.
Yeah, man.
Doing it. So, but it'll be okay. It's just going to take some time.
Hey, 3 more questions, Carmen, and they're all tough. Talk about a specific experience that changed your life or changed the way you think about things.
Well, you know, I mean, we were talking about defining moments, and again, you know, I mean, career wise, when something happens that lets you know you're on the right path is a good thing. And for me, you know, meeting Bill and having Bill, you know, support me, you know, as far as, you know, telling people about me and wanting me to be in his band and everything like that. That was, you know, a defining moment and still a great experience. And he's a great friend, and he's really helped, you know, put my career on a path.
I think it's really cool the way he was open with you and said, "Hey, I really like your playing. I'd like to get to know you better. Tell me about yourself. Let's drive. Let me drive you home." That was really,
because I was a fan before then, but I never wanted to meet. I had a chance to meet him a couple of times before that, but I just didn't want to be like, "Hey, man, I dig your music, and I'm a guitar player." Yeah, I just didn't know how to approach him. So it turned out great that he, you know, that he came.
He approached you, yeah.
You know, which was
right.
which was kind of amazing. And the fact that we just hit it off, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, sometimes these things are meant to be, you know.
Talk, it's like for hours. You know, even if it's just to say hello, you know, or you know, it's just like we end up talking for 1 or 2 hours every time we talk. You know, we're just really good friends.
That's nice, man. That's comforting. Best advice you've ever been given, and who gave it to you?
Well, I know I'm backtracking again, but you know, a couple of things. My dad saying you got to have something to fall back on.
Yeah.
That was really good advice. Of course, I, you know, took that ball and ran with it in a whole different direction than he was thinking of.
Good for you.
That was something that really, you know, was a good thing in my life. And again, B.B. King saying, you know, you got from A to M. You got to get from A to Z. You got to learn all of this stuff so you can use it all. You got to have the bigger your vocabulary, the more you can draw from it, you know. And so you can only form certain words with A to M. But if you got A to Z, you can do everything, you know. So I'm still working on learning more and developing. And that was great advice, is for a 14-year-old kid to have somebody go, "You're not there yet, but you can be." You know, It was very inspiring.
Well, especially coming from B.B. King like that. Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
And Carmen, last question. Biggest change in your personality over the last 10 years, and how much of that has been intentional and how much is a natural part of aging?
Oh, well, I think I'm definitely, you know, my Italian temper.
Funny, I had a feeling you were going to say that for some reason.
It's probably calmed down over the years, and you know, I used to go from 0 to 60 in about 30 seconds, and now it takes me a little longer to get there.
Good. Well, it's less stressful.
You know, sometimes when I used to get angry, I would just like blurt out stuff I really didn't mean, and then end up having to apologize for it forever, you know.
Sure.
And now I'm just a little bit more cautious of what comes out of my mouth, you know.
Good for you. Yeah, it's less stressful too.
It is, absolutely.
Man, first of all, thank you very much. I appreciate everything. Really enjoyed talking to you. I want to tell people, I want to turn people onto a lot of the stuff you got going on. So first of all, it's Carmen Grillo, Carmen, C-A-R-M-E-N, Grillo is G-R-I-L-L-O. A bunch of stuff Carmen's got going on. First of all, his studio, Big Surprise Music, is located in Encino. It is a very busy studio. If you are interested in recording there, go to his website and look at what's going on. It's carmengrillo.com, and there is a contact button there, or you could reach out to him at, I think it's info@Carmen Grillo. Again, that's Carmen, C-A-R-M-E-N, Grillo, G-R-I-L-L-O. CDs. His last CD was released, I think it's at 16, I'm sorry.
2014.
14. It's called A Different World. Physical copies available on carmengrillo.com. It's also on Apple Music and Amazon. Carmen is available for sessions either in his studio or remotely. So if you want to check out the kind of work he's doing and some of his stuff, go to his Facebook page at the Carmen Grillo Band, and there's a lot of performances there. You were at the Baked Potato the other night, you said, right?
Yes, we were at the world famous Baked Potato.
The world famous Baked Potato, that's right. And somebody posted some stuff on there, so you could just check out what Carmen's doing. He does a lot of remote sessions. If you are interested in Skype lessons for guitar or vocals, he is available. Again, email him info@carmengrillo.com, but kind of like give him some information on yourself so he can, figure out what's going on. Don't just say, I'm interested in lessons, what level you're at, what are you doing, what is your experience with lessons, just like a paragraph of normal stuff. And he is out with the Sons of Champlin, and Bill posts those gigs on his on Sons of Champlin page, I think, right?
That's right.
And Facebook. And that's it, man. Anything I missed or anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know. That was pretty in-depth interview, man.
Well,
I don't think I can ever give another interview. I said it all.
I hope you had fun. Man, thank you for your time. I really enjoyed talking with you.
I enjoyed talking to you too, man.
Yeah, likewise. If I could help you in anything, please let me know. And everybody, check out what Carmen's got going on. Just go to carmengrillo.com. It's a good snapshot. And follow his Facebook page. And he's on Instagram also. On Instagram, it's Grillo_Carmen. And does Big Surprise Music have a page?
Yes, Big Surprise has a web page.
Great.
surprisemusic.com.
Awesome. So check that out as well. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, please share it on your social media channels. We appreciate your support. Please check out what Carmen Grillo is doing. Listen to his music, order his CDs, and support what he's got going. Where do you post your gigs for your band, Carmen Grillo Band? Is it on the Facebook page?
It's usually on my Carmen Grillo Band Facebook page. If you like that page, you'll be notified of all the stuff.
Awesome.
For me.
Do you only doing gigs in California, or do you guys go out of town ever?
We'd love to go out of town, but we've had a lot of possibilities, but nothing firm on that yet. But we'll get around.
So booking agents, listen to that. Take heed and give them a call. Thanks, man. I appreciate you spending time.
All right,
and
Greg.
Everybody, thank you. And most important, remember that happiness is a choice, so choose wisely. Be nice, go play your guitar, and have fun. Till next time. Peace and love, everybody. I'm out. Carmen, thanks for everything, man.